Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and to another video. Many of you asked me about making a video about my production machine and the programs I use and why I use them. So what I'm gonna do in this video, I'm going to give you a tour on my main PC on my production machine and explain you which programs I use and why I use them. If you're also interested to know how I produce the videos themselves, let me know in the comments below and I will definitely do that. Anyway, that's enough talking, let's jump into my PC. So first of all, welcome to my desktop. So this is not gonna be a tutorial, everything here is improvised. And I thought I'd just share with you guys my main machine. Many of you asked me in the comments if I can once show you my machine and the programs I used. And so actually my production machine here, it's fairly simple and it's fairly light. Because I like to keep it so, and I keep my system also very clean. I don't make too many customizations because it's mainly a work machine and it has to just run. So just to give you a tour about it, as you can see, I don't have many programs here on the taskbar. The browser of choice in my case, it's the Brave browser. Let me pull this up. And as you can see here, I have a lot of tabs open. These are all the projects I'm working at the moment. I have some videos about the fish shell coming up soon. I have some videos about FreeBSD also coming up soon. And you can see also here in my browser here on my task list, I have some of the videos coming up as well. So this is how I organize my work here. We are using actually G Suite as a communication tool, and we have also a cloud storage that I will show you in a second. But we use all the collaboration here from G Suite because it's fairly easy and light, and it's mostly web-based, and it's absolutely great for us. So as you can see, I have actually the tabs for Gmail open, Calendar, Google Keep. For the notes, we have here the YouTube channel tab always open to us. And the communication channel here is WhatsApp, because most of the people here in Europe will use actually WhatsApp. Not that I love WhatsApp, but unfortunately, when you have so many people on the platform, you don't have many other choices. Although I use Telegram as well, and that's down in the taskbar. I'll show you this in a second. Yeah, and I have the other tabs here I'm working on now for the next coming up videos. So as a browser, I use Brave because of obvious reasons. It's probably one of the best privacy-oriented browsers. It's very fast. I haven't had any issues with it in terms of breaking websites and stuff like that. And just a few days ago, they released a new version, which includes also the Brave Sync number 2, which is supposed to be much more stable, and it includes also much more options to synchronize not only bookmarks, but also passwords and many other things as well. Now, it's available for Android and desktop users. For iOS user, it's going to be available soon, so it says in the Brave blog. But I'm very happy with the browser, and I will stick to it because it's one of the best browsers I used, and it fits also my values for privacy. I use not so many extensions. As you can see here, I have the color picker. It's always handy to have it when you need to copy the codes for colors on websites or documents that you're working on the browser. I have the PNP extension. This is from Google, just to see videos eventually in the corner when I need to. Bitly, my time saver here to shorten URLs. Those are also the URLs you see, for example, also in the video descriptions. I have the language tool. This is a lifesaver for me since I type in 4 different languages, and sometimes I do typos and I do mistakes, and this tool just helps me stay on track. So it's really good to have. I have here an extension to download any video that I have on the browser, and another extension to just, for the Google Docs offline. So this is it for the browser. No big thing, but it's a really great productivity tool for me, and I'm really happy to have it on my main PC. So closing this down here, I have the file browser. This is Dolphin because I have a KDE desktop environment, as you can see here, and it works fine for me. So I have nothing special here. These are just the KDE folders available to anyone who installs KDE. And you can see here I have the drives I use in my PC, so I have a lot of storage here because I have two storages for backups and for local backups, and I have also another storage for backup online, which is my Synology drive right here, which is mounted via NFS. I'll show you this in a second anyway. And going forward here, we go to the settings. This is nothing special. It's just to have the system settings for KDE available anytime I need them. I use, as you can see here, the Materia Dark theme right now, and I'm using the Papyrus icons as well. Those are my favorite ones. I have also some other themes installed here, but nothing fancy really. So let's close this up. I have my terminal. So right now I'm still using Bash, and I'm gonna move to ZSH very soon, as you've seen the videos I've done. But on the production machine I'm still using Bash because I have a lot of things here working in Bash and I don't want to mess up right now, but I'm gonna move to ZSH very soon. This is the bash shell. I have Powerline installed here, NeoFetch as well. It's the console terminal from KDE. So nothing fancy. I'm just using a specific theme here. I think it's the green theme, if I'm not mistaken. If I go under appearance, yeah, it's green on black, very simply. I just added some transparency to the background and installed Powerline, so nothing fancy here. I'm not so keen, to customize too much my production machine. I don't need too much makeup in here. I just need the machine to work, flawlessly, and that's what I need. So this is my terminal, and I wanted to show you actually just very shortly my fstab file. So let me clean up the terminal. Maybe I can increase the font size so you can see better. Typing cat slash etc slash fstab and hit enter. So this is my fstab file, and there's nothing really fancy in here. There's just the boot partition, fat file system. I have a root partition. That's all. I have a data directory where I store some of the data I use and two backups drive here, which are mounted. And I have also the swap file, which I actually never really touch. And in the end, I have my Synology drive, which is mounted via NFS. If you guys are interested, I'll make maybe a tutorial about how you can mount NFS drives in Arch Linux. It's very simple and it's extremely reliable. This is the IP address, the local IP address of my Synology drive. And once you define its volume here, you can just mount it with the default options and it's going to boot up fine every single time. So this is just to show you what is my fstab file right now. It's very simple, nothing complicated. And we can close the terminal. Moving on, I have here LibreOffice, Dev Writer. I don't really use this that much, because we actually use also Google Docs. But sometimes, when I have a document which is formatted for Microsoft Word that I get from some customers or some people, LibreOffice actually tends to read it better. So I have it here in that case. I have Simple Note here. I've been using this until now because it's cross-platform. It works also with iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, whatever. So it's very simple to configure. I have all the notes here that I used until now from my videos. And as you can see here, it's fairly simple. Nothing fancy, but it's cross-platform and it's synchronized very well with all platforms. However, right now we are starting to use Google Keep, so I'm gonna probably move to that. I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna keep this anyway in my machine because until now it served me well. So I will keep it for now in the production machine anyway. This is anyway a package that you can download from the AUR, by the way. So we close this up. The next tool I have is VLC because VLC, as you probably know, it's one of the workhorse for medias. You can throw here any format you want. It's just gonna play it. I test it also with my videos once I render them in Kdenlive, and I've never had an issue with VLC. So this is a standard tool that I would recommend anyone anyway to have in the machine. Now let's come to the tools that I use the most. So the first one is KVM. You've seen tons of tutorial done with this machine, with this virtual machine tool. Let me pull this up quickly. So right now, these are the machines I have in here because I'm working on some of the videos. But normally, I have always an Arch Linux based installation here. 5.7 refers to the kernel number. And what I'm going to do here normally is, if I need to make a tutorial about how to build a desktop environment or a window manager, I'm just going to start from here because I'm assuming that the person who is watching the tutorial, have been already following the tutorial about the base install of Arch Linux, which is already on the channel. So I'm going to start from here basically. And what I'm going to do here normally, I'm going to keep this machine up to date. If I start this up, don't know if you can see it. It's quite maybe small for you guys, but it's just meant to show you how it works. This is a UEFI installation. And what I would do here, I would actually do nothing special. I would just start the machine sometimes up and log in with my username and password. And the only thing I do in this specific machine is to check for updates. So for example, if I type in sudo pacman-syyu and hit enter my sudo password. And right now there is nothing to do. So I would normally now power off and close this machine up. And what I would do, because I want to have this one always pristine, I just want to right click here and click clone. And say, for example, I'm going to call this, if I would do a tutorial about, for example, BSPWM. So I would call this BSPWM and click clone. And it's going to take a moment to clone the machine anyway. And then I would start this machine and start to work on this machine for the tutorial. Now, once I've done the tutorial and I know the steps to do, I would then delete this machine, this BSPWM machine, for example, and start over from the main machine by cloning this and then recording the video. Sometimes I keep the machine where I practiced on, so to say, just in case that I need to go back there and see exactly what I did if something happens in the new machine that I'm recording. But most of the time I can actually delete this and then reclone the first one and start from scratch and record the video from there. So normally this is what I do. I always keep one clean machine here and clone it to start building a new tutorial. Or of course, if I have to make a base install of Arch Linux, then I will just click the plus menu here, having my Arch Linux ISO install downloaded already in the machine, and select the ISO and begin the installation from scratch. This is what you have seen also in the channel so far. I have also a Windows 10 machine available here. I just keep this here in case I need to also clone it and make a tutorial maybe about dual booting Arch Linux with Windows 10 or any other distro. And I don't really touch much Windows 10. It's really just to have a dual booting basis available in KVM. So this is for me a very, very important tool. KVM is the virtual machine where I'm recording the most tutorials because, as you know, it's embedded, the hypervisor is embedded in the kernel. So the performance that offers compared to VirtualBox, especially on Linux Guest, is absolutely fantastic. I have also VirtualBox here because I use it normally as a backup solution, not that I use it that much. For example, you can see here I have a FreeBSD installation that I did a few days ago just to try it out, and it works fine because in KVM actually I didn't really manage to run FreeBSD the way I wanted to. Although today I was practicing the last time and I found out actually some tricks. So I'm going to actually do the tutorial about FreeBSD on KVM because it runs much better. But I keep VirtualBox anyway, in case of a backup, in case something goes wrong with KVM. But I rarely use VirtualBox anymore. So let me close this up. I have here OBS. This is what I'm using right now to record this tutorial, and it's what I'm using actually to also make the live stream, as you've probably already seen on the channel. So nothing fancy here. OBS is free. You can download it from the Arch repository if you need it. You can do screen recordings. You can also do streams on YouTube and so on. Although for screen recording, actually, I use another tool, which I'll come to it in a second. The next tool I have here on my taskbar is actually Spectacle, which is a screenshot tool for KDE. And I really love it. It's really flexible. You can decide, whether you want to take the all desktops. As you know, I have two monitors here. I have a 4K monitor and a 1080p monitor. So right now you can take a screenshot with both, or you can select one of them. You can select if you want to just snapshot a region or the current screen, the active window, and the window under the cursor. So it's really nice to have. You can also select the delay if you want to have, or if you want to have it on click. You can include or exclude the mouse pointer, and you have some other options here. And you have also some other tools available, for example, that you can print or record the screen directly from here. Although in this case, you would go to Simple Screen Recorder, which is the tool I use actually for screen recording most of the time. Or you can export directly your screenshots from here. It's a really handy tool. And if you have KDE, I definitely recommend you to try it out because it's really, at least I'd say for my productivity flow, it's absolutely fantastic. The next tool I have here, well, it's not a tool, it's a messaging system, is Telegram. I have a few people who communicating via Telegram, and I do actually prefer use Telegram. So I keep it here on the taskbar, just for the people who are using Telegram with me. The next tool I have here is the Simple Screen Recorder. Now, this is absolutely the tool that I use the most to record my tutorials because it's really simple to use. It works really flawlessly. So I can select here the screen you want to record. In my case, for example, let's say I can select my second screen, or I can select all of those, or just the first screen. But normally I would go to the 1080p screen, how much the frame rate would be. So I would say, for example, 30. And you can click continue here and select also the output profile. Right now it's always YouTube for me, and this is going to be then configured automatically for you. You just name the clip you want to have and click continue, and then click start recording, and that's all going to do it. Now, Simple Screen Recorder works fantastically well if you're using Xorg. If you're using Wayland, it's not going to work. It's just going to record your audio, but it's not going to record any video. And that's because Simple Screen Recorder is not supporting any Wayland at the moment. Things might change in the future, but right now this is how the situation is. The next tool I have here is actually GIMP. As you know, probably GIMP is an image manipulation program equivalent to Photoshop. Now, of course, it's not as polished as Photoshop. The interface, as you maybe know already, it's not that elegant looking like Photoshop, but it gets the job done. And I can assure you, I've done this. I used GIMP now a little bit less, but I used to use GIMP before a lot more. And you have a lot of functions in here that you have also in Photoshop, many of those. The thing is, it doesn't look very intuitive. You have to really learn it. The learning curve is quite steep in GIMP, but once you have the hang of it, it's a great tool that you can download for free. And this is, by the way, also cross-platform. You have it also on macOS and on Windows. Next we have Kdenlive. Well, Kdenlive, this is the tool I use for editing all my videos. I began to use actually Kdenlive for editing videos when I started to move when I moved to Linux completely. That happened around January of this year. Before I was using still part Windows, part Linux, and for editing videos I was still using another program in Windows. But then I moved to Kdenlive, and I would not be able to go back anytime. It's just fantastic tool for me. It's really great. I normally record all my videos here. Let me close this. Once I record my videos, they're gonna go here, for example, in my videos folder. And I normally would create here a folder, name, for example, I don't know, just make an example, KVM. Drag my videos in here, and then drag the music I use for the videos and also my intro and audio into that folder. And then open up Kdenlive here and click a clip of folder and navigate to the folder, and then here will be my clips that I can click OK, and they will be all imported here. Just drag and drop here in the timeline and start editing right away. Once the editing is done with the effects and music, which are not actually many as you've seen on the videos on the channel, I don't really put a lot of makeup on the videos because I want them to be as straightforward as they can be. And once it's done, I just go to render, and I'll normally choose MP4 with the maximum quality. And that's the video you're going to see on YouTube due that YouTube anyway will compress the video a little bit, but I'm working with Kdenlive. Very happy with Kdenlive. Very simple, very powerful. It never crashed on me, except maybe once, but that was not a problem of Kdenlive. It was a KDE thing that I could solve. Other than that, I never had an issue with Kdenlive, so very happy with that. I have Spotify. This is my, music tool when I'm studying or researching or practicing, whatever. I always use it. I have my music in there. It relaxes me, and it's nice to have Spotify also available as an app on Arch Linux, which is available from the UR, by the way. And I have a calculator at the end just for when it's needed. Here on my taskbar, I have a very few widgets. As you can see, I just have my weather. You see today it's quite hot here in Switzerland, and it's going to be hot for the next day. So I have my notifications here. This is OBS because it's running right now. I have my clipboards, my volumes, the Bluetooth adapters here, and the internet connection, which is normally wired in my production machine, and the volume for the controllers. And I have here the hidden icons and my clock. So you can see I have really nothing fancy on my machine. It's really configured just really for work. And because of this, I try to keep it as simple as possible, as clean as possible, with not too many customizations. And KDE really fits my productivity flow. That's why I keep it as a main desktop environment in my productivity machine. On my laptops, personal laptops especially, I use BSPWM right now because I really love the window manager. And for what I need in my personal private time, it really works well for me. But for the workflow I have for my videos, KDE really suits me well. So that's why I keep it as my desktop environment. Now, another thing I do is, because I keep my machine very lean and clean, I do a lot of maintenance as well. That means, every time I boot up my machine in the morning, the first thing I do is type in yay-syyuu to update the machine and enter my password here. And okay, right now there is nothing else because I just updated it this morning. There are no new packages available. That's the first thing I do actually every morning when I wake up. And once a week, maybe once every 10 days, I also will basically just clean up the system a little bit because with time, when you download packages, especially in my machine here, because I download a lot of things, which are used for tutorials that I don't use or I don't need at the end, then I end up with a lot of packages and stuff which I really don't need. So there are some commands that I run occasionally just to keep the system clean and not to fill up too much space. So for example, I would type in sometimes yay-sc to clean up the caches of Pacman and Yay. These caches can really build up with time. I remember a few weeks ago or months ago, when I ran this command the first time, I had like 5 or 6 gigabytes of packages in there, which were taking up space for nothing. So I could also make a timer for this so that it's run periodically. But I like to do it actually manually because I want to be in full control of when I want to do it, and I take time for this because it's an important machine for me. So I rather do this manually myself with my control. But basically here you can see the first thing it asks you is you want to remove all the other packages from the cache. So I would say yes. It's going to remove also unused repositories, so I would say yes also, and remove also the cache from Yay from the AUR, and I would say also yes, and also the untracked AUR files. And that's going to do it. So this sometimes, saves you a lot of space on your drive, especially if you have a small drive, from packages that are installed there and, that take up space and are never used. So you can clean this this way. Another command that I use sometimes it's yay-yc because it's going to remove eventually dependencies, unused dependencies in the system. Right now there is nothing because I keep it clean. I run this actually almost like every 3-4 days, just to make sure that there are no unused dependencies on the system. So this way of managing my system, actually, I really literally never had a crash or Arch Linux hanging up on me anytime. Even I was recording a video, browsing, writing emails, whatever. I never ever had a crash or it never froze once. So for this, because I keep the system clean and I keep it always up to date, I keep it always as light as possible, or let's say as light as it possibly can on a production machine. And I'm really, really happy with Arch Linux. It's a rolling release, yes. It's always bleeding edge, yes. But in my case, for what I do, it really fits my needs because I can configure it the way I want to. I know how to tune it. I know how to maintain it. And if you know how to do these things, and if you have the machine set up the way you need to have it for your work, for example, it's absolutely a fantastic distribution, and it's by far my favorite Linux distribution, as you probably know, since most of the videos I've done on YouTube are for Arch Linux anyway. Now, Arch Linux, as you know, it's a huge distribution. It's very light when you install it, but there are tons of things you can cover on Arch Linux, and I haven't covered yet everything, and I think I will probably never until I retire, because there are so many things to cover, and I will cover them in the future. And of course, I always encourage you guys to tell me what you would like to see. I try my best to do as much as I can. Um, and anyway, this is a fantastic system, as I said before, and that's why I'm using it for my production machine. Now, these are most of the tasks I do on my production machine when I'm not doing any video, or I'm not studying or researching for any video. I normally do just normal things here, like email or business email, communicating with customers, whatever that is. But I'm not using it for games or personal for private things like entertainment or stuff like that. For that, I'm going to use my laptop or eventually my TV there. But this is really for me considered my just my work machine. So I try to keep it as simple as possible. So let me close this up. And you can see here my start menu in KDE is the dashboard layout. I'm not using this that much. I just sometimes need to pick maybe some programs from here, like Etcher, but I'm not using this very often, so I don't have it on the taskbar. I rather than go in here and just click it. Sometimes when I burn Arch ISOs on a USB stick or other distro ISOs on USB sticks, then I pull this up. And that's fine for me. This is all I need actually from KDE. It's not, the dashboard menu. I really like it. It's really functional for me. So another thing I can show you is actually my machine specs. So if you go back here to the terminal, you will see I have AMD Ryzen 9. This is a 3900X. And I have as a GPU the Radeon 5600. Actually, I have the 5700 XT. That's all the same driver. And I have 32 gigabytes of RAM in here. This is a PC actually that I built myself. I just bought the parts and I made sure that they are all compatible with Linux. And I just installed the open drivers here. For this one, using the AMD GPU open driver from the Arch repository, and it works absolutely fine. It took me some time to build a PC. It's quite of there are a lot of components in here. The case is a fractal case, and you cannot see it right now, but I used actually some Corsair fans in here, which I built in myself. And it works really smooth. I have to say also, when I render videos, it's fast, it's silent. It's absolutely a great machine, and I try to build it also so cost effective. So the whole package here with all the hard drives inside, which I actually can show you in a second. Let me go here in KDE. This is a program called Firelight, or you can see actually how much storage you're using in your computer. So I have lots of drives in here. I have my main drive, which is an NVMe drive. It's a 1 TB SSD from Samsung. It's a Samsung Evo, I think. And I have another SSD. This is a SATA SSD for 2 TB, which is built into the case. I built it on the side of the case. I have another terabyte SSD in here. This is for data, which is at the moment nothing in here. I normally put data in here and then store them into the clouds afterwards, so that this stays free. It's kind of a parking zone for my data. I have my boot partition. This is actually nothing important. I have my backups, a backup drive in here, which is used really as a backup. So right now there is not much in here. And I have also my Synology drive, which has about 17 terabytes of storage. This is including actually storage for backups and also for customers who are backing up their data on the Synology here. So I have all these drives in here. I have a lot of storage. I have two backups drive, which at the moment are empty because, as I said, I back up here some data and then they are going to be moved into the Synology. Sometimes I set up the machine so that it's mirrored on both of these. But right now, actually, since we actually have the Synology, I'm using these backup drives here less and less. And I tend to use them now more to store, for example, virtual machine images because they are normally taking up a lot of space, especially when you have like 10, 12 virtual machines in KVM, they tend to take a lot of space. So this drive is going to be filled up very quickly. So I'm tend to use then these two to store virtual machine images in here. And the same also for data. I'm actually planning to very soon maybe do a reinstallation of the system and to have actually combine all this space in one using LVM because now that we have the Synology drive, I'm not using actually anymore this drive separately that much. So it would be useful to have actually one pool of storage with LVM. So I'm considering doing this. I'm not ready to do that yet, but I will definitely do that in the future. By the way, this program FileLight, if you click on OneDrive here, it shows you basically how your computer is using the storage available in your system. So it takes a moment to calculate first, and then you can basically drill down and see how much space is used, in your system. For example, you can see the var directory here is taking up quite a lot of space because there are images of KVM in there. Now, because I have 1 TB, it's not fully, so I'm not going to move them in the other drives. But if I have a lot of virtual machines, then I'm going to move everything here into other drives, so to free up my home drive. And you can see also here I have, for example, 50 GB used on my home directory. And you can drill down here to other things. This is my FreeBSD virtual machine right now. This is in VirtualBox. And I have also my Spotify data here, which is taking up 2.5 GB and so on. So if you don't have this program, you can go ahead and install it, and it's going to analyze your system and tell you actually where the system is using the most storage. Once you see, for example, here, this is actually an Arch Linux installation, which is taking 100 gigs because I gave 100 gigs for the virtual machine itself. Once you delete the virtual machine, then I'm going to have these 100 gigs available to me. But this is just to know where your space is basically used. So this is actually it, for my main machine. As you can see, it's fairly light. It doesn't have a lot of customizations. I just installed, as I said, a wallpaper and just maybe one theme and one icon theme. I don't want to put a lot of makeup here because it's a production machine and I don't want it to be unnecessarily heavy. And because I work, mostly in the Brave browser and Kdenlive by itself, I don't need to actually have a lot of customization. So that's why I keep it very light. Anyway, I'm very happy with this machine, and I'm extremely happy with Arch Linux. I have to say this is really my favorite Linux distribution because you can configure it the way you want to, and since I have it on my production machine here, I never had an issue. It never crashed on me. It never froze me. Even when I was recording or editing videos, I never had any issue. And for that, I keep it very clean and and up to date. So that's definitely one reason why it never crashes on me, I think. But I'm really happy with Arch Linux, and I know it's not. A new user or beginner distribution, but once you get the hang of Linux and you start to understand how the Linux system works in the terminal, it makes sense, if you of course, if you have a passion for software or OSs in general, and you love Linux, it makes sense to start to explore Arch Linux, and build it the way you want to. Basically, there is also Gen 2. Many of you ask me about Gen 2 if it's going to be covered in the channel. It's going to be covered in the channel. I'm afraid it's not going to be covered in depth as much as Arch, because Gen 2, in my opinion, is it goes, one step deeper in technical aspects on the system, which I love, because I love, this is also my passion. Linux is also my passion, so I have no problem digging into that. But um, the target of the channel is right now to uh, open the Linux world to new users, and also to make users, let's say, have a more depth look at Arch Linux, because it's probably the distribution which balance the middle ground between, being able to build a system from scratch, but not making it too difficult. So it's a good base to start when you want to really, build your own system with Arch. And Gen 2, in Gen 2, you can really control every little aspect of the system, which is absolutely fabulous. But it requires a little bit more knowledge. It requires a little bit more time and patience. And I will cover some of the Gen 2 stuff in the future, but I don't know yet exactly when. I don't have an ETA for that, but I will definitely do that as well. Yeah, so I hope you like this small tour, guys, of my machine. And if you have any comment, if you have any question, as always, let me know in the comments below. I will be more than happy to answer them. And I'm already working on some other tutorials and other videos as well, so stay tuned for that. And I thank you so much for watching the videos, and I will see you very soon in the next one.